Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. Dominica announces highest national honor for India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his contribution during COVID-19 pandemic. Voting underway in Sri Lanka's parliamentary elections. 17 million voters to elect lawmakers for 225 seats with 8,800 candidates in fray. Breaking all previous records, Apple's India exports hit record $7 billion in 7 months, feat achieved for the first time by any company. 43rd Annual India International Trade Fair begins in New Delhi with the theme Viksit Bharat at 2047. And in sports, Paris authorities ramp up security ahead of the France vs Israel Nations League clash on Thursday. All right, we'll start with the big news. The Commonwealth of Dominica is set to acknowledge India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi with its most prestigious national accolade, the Dominica Award of Honor. This recognition is an acknowledgement of Prime Minister Modi's significant contributions to Dominica during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as his efforts to enhance the bilateral relationship between India and Dominica. The award ceremony will occur at the India CARICOM Summit, which is scheduled for November 19th to 21st in Georgetown, Guyana, with the President of Dominica, Sylvanie Burton, presiding over the event. In February 2021, the Indian government under Prime Minister Modi's leadership provided Dominica with 70,000 doses of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. And the award acknowledges India's broader support for Dominica in areas such as education and information technology. Additionally, it highlights India's role in promoting initiatives focused on climate resilience and sustainable development on a global scale. And earlier, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi received Russia's highest state award, the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle, for his outstanding efforts to promote partnership and friendship between India and Russia. Prime Minister Modi is the first Indian leader to be conferred with this award, and this award was instituted over 300 years ago. While accepting the award, Prime Minister Modi dedicated it to the people of India and to the traditional bonds of friendship between India and Russia.
On Tuesday, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi officially received Russia's most prestigious civilian honor, the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle. The award recognizes PM Modi's distinguished contribution to developing a privileged strategic partnership between Russia and India and fostering friendly ties between the two countries.
ये सम्मान केवल मेरा सम्मान नहीं है। यह 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों का सम्मान है। यह भारत और रूस की सदियों पुरानी गहरी मित्रता और आपसी विश्वास का सम्मान है।
The latest award is another feather in his cap. Over the years, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been honored by countries and organizations worldwide for his exceptional leadership and contributions. Some of these awards include: on March 22, 2024, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred the Order of the Druk Gyalpo, Bhutan's highest civilian decoration, by the King of Bhutan in a public ceremony at Thimphu. On 25th August 2023, the Indian Prime Minister was conferred with the Grand Cross of the Order of Honor by President Katerina Sakalaropoulou of Greece. On July 13, 2023, PM Modi was conferred with France's highest award, the Grand Cross of the Legion of Honor, in Paris. On June 25, 2023, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi conferred the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi with its highest civilian honor, the Order of the Nile, in Cairo. On May 22, 2023, PM Modi was conferred the highest honor of Fiji, the Companion of the Order of Fiji, in recognition of his global leadership. On December 21, 2020, the US President Donald Trump conferred the highest decoration, the Legion of Merit, degree Chief Commander, to PM Modi. The Legion of Merit is the highest degree of the Chief Commander and is a prestigious award conferred by the US President. On August 24, 2019, PM Modi was conferred the King Hamad Order of the Renaissance during his visit to Bahrain in recognition of his efforts to strengthen bilateral relations with the Gulf nation. On August 24, 2019, PM Modi was honored with UAE's highest civilian award, the Order of Zayed, in recognition of his pivotal role in building the strategic relationship between the two countries. On June 8, 2019, PM Modi was conferred with the Maldives' highest honor, the Rule of Nishan Izzuddin, during his state visit to that country. On February 10, 2018, PM Modi was conferred the Grand Collar of the State of Palestine, the highest Palestinian honor for foreign dignitaries. On April 3, 2016, during his visit to Saudi Arabia, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred Saudi Arabia's highest civilian honor, the King Abdulaziz Sash. Apart from the highest civilian honors, PM Modi has also been conferred with several awards by prestigious organizations across the globe. In 2019, PM Modi was conferred the Global Goalkeeper Award by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. The first ever Philip Kotler Presidential Award was given to the Indian Prime Minister in 2019. This award is offered annually to the leader of a nation. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred with the Champions of the Earth 2018 Award for Peaceful Leadership by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Champions of the Earth is the highest UN honor in the field of environment. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred with the prestigious Seoul Peace Prize for 2018. It is awarded biennially to those individuals by Seoul Peace Prize Cultural Foundation who have made their mark through contributions to the harmony of mankind, reconciliation between nations, and to world peace. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a people's leader dedicated to solving their problems and improving their well-being. Fuzail Ahmed's report for DD India.
Yes, another award for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and this time by Commonwealth Dominica. And to talk more on this, DD India's Arun Sharma joins us on the phone line. Arun, Commonwealth Dominica will bestow its highest national honour upon Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and the most coveted national accolade of the island nation. Tell us about this award. Fill us in with more details.
Good noon, Abhishek. Well, of course, this is the highest award that is being given to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And so far, close to 24 nations and institutions have given this award to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This shows that the highest amount of trust that these nations or institutions they have on a country like India and the leadership Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Also for the fact that we have seen that how Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has become the voice of the voiceless nations, and post-COVID pandemic time when Indian Prime Minister, under the leadership of Indian Prime Minister, when G20 summit was hosted by India, at that point in time also the first a voice of Global South that was hosted by India. And the idea was that how can the challenges and concerns of these countries, the Global South, that can be brought to the international platform or the multilateral platform like G20 Summit. Recently we just saw this report, and in this report we have seen that how various countries, institutions, they have given the highest award to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So, almost from all the part of the world, be it the Caribbean nations, be it a country like US, from Europe, from Asia, from the Gulf. So primarily from all the parts of the world, the countries have the highest trust, and that's the reason this highest award is being, awarded to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, Dominica is awarding this highest national award to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi because of the fact that during COVID pandemic time, when the nations were talking about themselves, when everybody was talking about protecting and safeguarding themselves, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, under the Vaccine Maitri initiative, ensured that how can more and more nations can be given the COVID vaccine that they have developed under the Vaccine Maitri initiative. And therefore, and more than 100 countries were given, vaccines, and the shipment was done. And to Dominica, 70,000 doses of vaccines were given to Dominica, and therefore they have given this highest award to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, ensuring and showcasing the kind of trust that they have on India and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Arun, India had a very successful program, Vaccine Maitri, during COVID-19 pandemic, which you also talked about. And India continued providing and helping other countries with vaccines despite all the challenges here. Do you think this played a big role in how other nations look at India and living up to its own billing as the pharmacy of the world?
Absolutely. India is considered to be the pharmacy of the world because, as I mentioned earlier also, that more than 100 countries were provided with the vaccines under the Vaccine Maitri initiative of India. And not only this much, at a time when COVID pandemic was at peak, India developed two important softwares. One was Arogya Setu. Now, this software was used for tracking and tracing the COVID patients. And second was, of course, the COVID platform for vaccinating the people. So India made these two softwares open source. That means any country can use this software without any intellectual property rights or any claims. So this was made open source by India. So India believes in the fact that how can democratization of technology can be done, and how can Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, that means benefits for all, can be done on the international platform as well. So India is not only thinking about themselves, India is not only raising their own concerns on the international platform, but also ensuring that how can it becomes the voice of the voiceless and can raise the concerns of the developing nations, underdeveloped nations, the island nations, the Caribbean nations, and of course the global south on the international platform. And this is the reason why, giving a national award or the highest award to any individual or any or the leader of any country only ensures that how much the amount of trust that particular country has on that individual. So, of course, this award to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi only showcases the fact that be it the developed nation like USA or be it the Caribbean nations or the island nations, they have the highest amount of trust on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because he thinks about them on the international platform as well. So India stands during the crisis also with the people and, of course, the countries, and therefore this award has been given to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Yes, and he will get this award India CARICOM Summit in Guyana. Arun, the award also, you think, acknowledges India's broader support for Dominica in other areas too, like education, information technology, climate resilience too?
Absolutely. So, India has extended the line of credit to various underdeveloped nations and Caribbean nations as well. And, it ensures and it focuses on the fact that how can basic healthcare infrastructure, the education infrastructure, or vaccines or medicines for polio or the TB that can also be provided. So India, this is, not the only help that India extended during the COVID pandemic time, but to the other island nations, various climate resilient infrastructure, or be it the health infrastructure to various other Caribbean nations or the underdeveloped nations or the global south. India has been at the forefront for developing of the infrastructure. So be it India's neighborhood first policy, or be it ensuring of better infrastructure in other underdeveloped or global south countries. India ensures via various line of credits or various MOUs that how can you better healthcare infrastructure, the best possible best practices that India has that can be given to other countries as well, just like COVID platform, just like UPI that India wants to democratize it to the world. Now more than a dozen countries are using UPI, and India wants that how can this economic technology, this safe technology can be provided to other countries as well.
All right, Arun, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. All right, we'll slip into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. We'll talk about West Asia crisis. Israel hits Hezbollah strongholds, third wave of strikes in 24 hours. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar launches Symbiosis International University campus in Dubai.
Our habitats are turning into concrete jungles, and that is concerning, but there is hope even in this grim reality.
Our rivers are like lifelines. They are spaces for humans, for biodiversity, and yes, we have neglected them so far, but really that's an opportunity for us to restore them to their natural conditions.
We now have species that can adapt by conserving the water they have instead of letting it evaporate and being easy to care for.
We have always been farmers in my family. We used to do chemical farming with hybrid seed varieties. But now, we have switched to organic farming with natural seeds.
This embankment will be removed and the river will be widened to cover the grassland up to the wider flood embankments on both the Swiss and Austrian side.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Voting for the parliamentary elections in Sri Lanka is underway at over 13,400 polling centres across the island nation. Voting commenced at 7 a.m. and will go on till 4 p.m. local time. There are 17 million voters eligible to cast their votes for nearly 9,000 candidates. The elections are important as they are expected to completely redefine the political landscape of the island nation. Under Sri Lanka's proportional representation system, 196 members will be directly elected across 22 constituencies. The remaining 29 seats will be allocated based on each party's overall share of the island-wide vote. The election became necessary as Sri Lankan President and National People's Power Party leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake dissolved Parliament on 24th September to clear the way for the general election, days after the Marxist-leaning leader was elected president on a platform for change. All right, let's go across to Colombo. DD India's Dr. Ahmed Moin Faruqi is joining us live. Dr. Faruqi, how has been the voter turnout so far? People coming out in big number to vote?
Abhishek, you see, traditionally speaking, the parliamentary elections, which normally follow the presidential elections, see a voter turnout which is considerably lesser than what is normally seen in the presidential election. That said, as per the information received till 1 p.m., voter turnout in various electoral districts has ranged from about 30% to even up to 50% in certain districts. Now, an average of this has been extrapolated to be about 40%, with just about another 3 hours of polling duration left from that point of time. It's now almost more than 2 o'clock, which has already passed in the local time. So just about 1.5 hours plus is the time that is left. And considering the figures so far received, people have been talking about a possibility of voter turnout of around 65 to 70%. We can remember that the presidential elections held in September this year had witnessed a voter turnout of around 78%, which was also less than what had been seen in the previous occasions. So a 65 to 70% voter turnout is in the expected range. At the same time, we also have to remember that this is a long weekend. So there is a possibility that several people who are the local voters may have already gone on a vacation, probably to utilize this long weekend. Because tomorrow is a holiday here. It is the Poya day. That is a full moon day which happens every month. And that's a holiday. And then there are Saturday and Sunday closed holidays. So there is a possibility that because of this as well, the voter turnout may also have a dampener. That said, we need to still wait till the close of polls till 4 p.m. and thereafter the counting would commence from around 4:15 p.m.
Dr. Faruqi, also tell us about the significance of these elections and how actually they could affect Disanaike's political vision for Sri Lanka, for the country.
Abhishek, you see, if you ask me this, I have to trace it all the way back 2022, when at the peak of the economic crisis, people had they had come out in huge numbers, in thousands, protesting against the then government in what was known as Aragalaya, the movement of struggle. And at that point of time, people had revolted against the government's policies, saying that rampant corruption and improper adoption of economic policies had crippled the country's economy. And that said, thereafter we witnessed the interim government of Ranil Wickremesinghe. It had tried its best to adopt certain austerity measures. And now in September 2024, when the country went for presidential elections, people had come out voicing their discontent with regard to how the austerity measures were also imposed, as well as the previous government's, previous regimes' corrupt practices. Therefore, there was a desire, a strong desire for a change, and which resonated well with President Anurag Kumar Dissanayaka's campaign. And this is something which has continued even during these elections as well. People have talked about the fuel as well as various other essential commodities price rise. Of course, inflation had hit a high of 70%. Now it has, of course, come back to zero. But the effect of the price rise is visible even to this day. In addition to that, tax hikes in the form of direct as well as indirect taxes during Ranil Wickremesinghe's tenure, that has also caused a sufficient amount of anger within the common public. And these were some of the topics which came up during the discussion. In addition to this, people have also talked about corruption and a requirement for a radical change in the entire government business. So all these things require a majority in the parliament, so that the mandate which was given to the president could also be implemented completely without any hiccups. And that requires that the NPP government needs to get a majority in the parliament. The president has talked about getting a 2/3 majority, which will also enable him bring about constitutional amendments. But currently, given the scenario that the president had polled only about 42% of the vote, not achieving the 50%, analysts have said that there is going to be a difficulty in achieving that 2/3 majority. But a simple majority is nevertheless possible, because he has garnered sufficient support, and his campaign has resonated well among all the people across the island. There have been a few pockets where the opposition has found voice, but be that as it may, the current government has considerable support, and that has also been visible in the election campaigns that we have seen over the last 1 month. Abhishek.
All right, Dr. Farooqi, thank you for the time being, but yes, we'll keep taking updates from you. Meanwhile, campaigning is in full swing for assembly elections in Maharashtra and second phase of Jharkhand elections, with senior leaders of various political parties holding multiple rallies and roadshows in the two states to garner support for their candidates. Prime Minister and senior BJP leader Narendra Modi is on campaign trail in high-stakes battle in Maharashtra by addressing public rallies in Sambhajinagar, Panvel and Mumbai today. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari is on the campaign trail in Dharashiv, Solapur and Sangli. On the other hand, leader of opposition in Lok Sabha and Congress leader Rahul Gandhi is campaigning in Nandurbar and Nanded today. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge is campaigning in Agatpuri and Pune. NCP Chief Sharad Pawar is on campaign trail in different constituencies in Pune. Maharashtra will vote in a single phase on November 20th, with counting of votes scheduled to take place on November 23rd. There are 288 assembly seats in the state. An outgoing US President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump met for a traditional transition meeting on Wednesday at the White House. The meeting lasted for almost 2 hours. DD India's Antra Sinha gets you more on how it unfolded.
A much-anticipated meeting between US President-elect Donald Trump and current incumbent Joe Biden. Trump was warmly greeted by outgoing President Joe Biden as they shook hands in the Oval Office. The meeting was part of a traditional transition meeting that didn't happen in 2020. In a way, Biden was seen restoring a tradition that Trump broke when he refused to recognize his 2020 defeat against Biden. The meeting comes after a confrontational election campaign in which Biden dropped out following his disastrous debate performance against Trump.
Well, Mr. President-elect and former President, thank you. Donald, congratulations. Thank you. And looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So good. Welcome.
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate very much a transition that's so smooth. It'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
You're welcome.
The pair also discussed the Ukraine and West Asia conflicts. Biden argued support for Ukraine was good for US national security, as a strong and stable Europe would keep America from being dragged into war. While Trump has pledged to end the Russia-Ukraine war quickly. The two American leaders sat side by side before a roaring fire in the White House Oval Office, a peaceful scene that belied tensions between them. Antara Sinha for DD India.
And as US President-elect Donald Trump prepares to take office for his second term, he has announced a series of high-ranking administration positions. Let's now take a quick look at the early picks of Donald Trump. Trump announced that Susie Wiles, one of his two campaign managers, will be his White House Chief of Staff. Tom Homan, the former Director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement during Trump's first administration, will lead border security efforts. And Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, and staunch Trump supporter, would be his ambassador to the United Nations. And Congressman Lee Zeldin will oversee the Environmental Protection Agency, aligning with Trump's energy policy reforms. Zeldin, a staunch Trump ally, served in Congress from 2015 to 2023. And Fox News host Pete Hegseth, a veteran of the Army National Guard, has been appointed Secretary of Defense. Moving on, Congressman and former Army Green Beret Mike Waltz will advise Trump on national security issues with a particular focus on China. Now, Trump named tech billionaire Elon Musk and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, a former Republican presidential candidate, to lead a newly created Department of Government Efficiency, which is DOGE, while South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, known for her strong stances during the COVID-19 pandemic, will head the Department of Homeland Security. Now, John Ratcliffe, former Director of National Intelligence under Trump, has been named the CIA Director, and US Senator Marco Rubio is expected to become Secretary of State. The Senator has in past years advocated for a muscular foreign policy with respect to US geopolitical foes, including China, Iran and Cuba. And Trump has Matt Gaetz, a US representative, to be his nominee for Attorney General. And also, it was announced today that Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democratic representative and critic of the Biden administration, will be the Director of National Intelligence. And we have a report on her. US President-elect Donald Trump on Wednesday nominated former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard as his incoming Director of National Intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard has questioned the credibility of US intelligence and denounced successive presidents over military interventions. Now, she has been asked to serve by Trump and lead US intelligence. Here's a report.
She is a leading Hindu figure in US politics. Her father, born in American Samoa, continues to serve in the Hawaii State Senate and remains a Democrat. Gabbard's mother embraced Hinduism and raised her children in the tradition. Gabbard's first name, Tulsi, is a sacred plant in Hinduism. She is a lifelong vegetarian and swore her oath to enter Congress on the Bhagavad Gita. Gabbard got married in a Hindu ceremony to a Hawaii-based cinematographer, Abraham Williams. She is an ardent supporter of India's popular Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Like few others in US politics, Gabbard defies simple party categorization, a war veteran who denounces war, a Democrat turned Republican, and now an establishment skeptic sent to head part of it. Gabbard has direct experience with war, having served in Iraq with the Army National Guard of her native Hawaii. In 2022, she announced that she was exiting the Democratic Party. Her strident tone led critics to believe she was auditioning for roles in a future Republican administration. This view was reinforced when she appeared beside Trump in his latest campaign and announced she was becoming a Republican.
Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Lahore continues to deal with toxic smog, reports 15,000 respiratory cases in a single day.
We are doing a deep dive into security dynamics in the Indo-Pacific region, and also what this means going into the future for India and its rising position in the world.
The Quad has now become a foundational block within the Indo-Pacific, and the Biden administration has continued that momentum. Now, I don't see Trump Part 2 walking away from that, again, because it's something that they helped to resurrect.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of what we have done so far. Dominica announces highest national honor for India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his contribution during COVID-19 pandemic. Voting underway in Sri Lanka's parliamentary elections. 17 million voters to elect lawmakers for 225 seats with 8,800 candidates in the fray. Breaking all previous records, Apple India exports hit record $7 billion in 7 months. Feat achieved for the first time by any company. Israeli forces have launched fresh strikes across southern and central Lebanon again, carrying out at least 4 airstrikes on Wednesday. Israeli airstrikes pounded the Hezbollah-controlled southern suburbs for a second consecutive day as Lebanon waited to hear Washington's latest ceasefire proposals after a U.S. official expressed hope a truce could be reached. The Israeli military said its air force had destroyed 9 Hezbollah weapons storage facilities and command centers in strikes in Beirut area, and Hezbollah fired 40 projectiles into Israel. The exchange of fire came as right-leaning members of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet expressed support for President-elect Donald Trump's latest picks for his incoming administration. And Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz said in a video release on Wednesday he would not agree to any Lebanon ceasefire that does not ensure a disarmed Hezbollah withdraws north of Lebanon's Litani River. Katz, who became Defense Minister last week, made the comments during his first visit to the Northern Command. His comments come as Lebanon waited to hear Washington's latest ceasefire proposals after a U.S. official expressed hope a truce could be reached.
We will not make any ceasefires, and we will not stop and will not take out foot off the pedal, and we will not allow any arrangement that does not include achieving the goals of the war, which is disarming Hezbollah, withdrawing it from beyond the Litani River, and mainly creating the true conditions for the residents of the north to return to their homes safely.
Meanwhile, Hezbollah said it launched a drone attack targeting Israel's military headquarters and Ministry of Defense in the city of Tel Aviv on Wednesday. In a statement, the Lebanese militant group said it conducted an aerial attack with a squadron of exploding drones on the site housing Israel's main defense institutions. In 2 statements on Wednesday, the military said it had intercepted 2 drones and 40 projectiles launched from Lebanon in attacks that caused no injuries. Hezbollah and Israel have been at conflict since late September when the Israeli military escalated its airstrikes on Lebanon and sent ground troops across the border. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar presided over the inauguration of Symbiosis International University's first overseas campus at Dubai Knowledge Park on Thursday. Along with Dr. Jaishankar, UAE's Minister of Tolerance and Coexistence Sheikh Nahyan bin Mubarak Al Nahyan also attended the event. The ceremony marks a significant milestone in India-UAE relations. The campus aims to offer comprehensive programs in management, technology and media, focusing on developing 21st century skills while promoting collaboration aligned with the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, meaning the world is one family. Speaking on the occasion, the External Affairs Minister emphasized that this inauguration transcends mere institutional expansion, representing a significant milestone in India's educational outreach as envisioned in the National Education Policy 2020.
This is both a testimony to the Symbiosis International University's own quest for global academic excellence, as well as to our ever-deepening relationship. The new campus will offer courses in management, in technology and media and communications. As one of the top universities in Asia, I'm confident that Symbiosis will replicate its outstanding quality of teaching and pedagogy in Dubai to prepare its students for 21st century skills.
Now, Pakistan's second largest city, Lahore, is continuously dealing with toxic smog. As a result, over 15,000 cases of respiratory and viral infections were reported in just a single day. Pakistan had already shut schools amid the growing pollution that disrupted learning, as majority of schools were not equipped to go online. Most outdoor activities were banned and shops, markets and malls remained closed in the beginning of the week. Lahore's air quality remains hazardous. And India's capital, New Delhi, is still grappling with severe category air quality. The air quality index has crossed 400 as dense smog enveloped several areas, reducing visibility. Temperature of the city was recorded at 16.1 degrees Celsius on Thursday. Experts have advised residents to take precautions as the level of air pollution remains high. The low quality has caused respiratory diseases and greater health concerns. Amid the reduced visibility, Delhi Airport Authority has issued a warning to all its passengers to contact the airlines for regular updates. Though flight operations remain normal, the authorities have begun low visibility procedures at the airport. Delhi is dealing with air pollution since the past 2 weeks post Diwali festival. And India is making strides in tech exports, breaking all previous records of smartphone exports. Apple's iPhone exports touched rupees 60,000 crore or around $7 billion in the first 7 months of the current fiscal. This translates into an average of $1 billion exports per month, a feat achieved for the first time by any company. Let's take a look at this report.
Apple's India exports hitting a record $7 billion in 7 months follows the smartphone production-linked incentive scheme announced by Indian government in 2020, after which Tim Cook-led Apple began shifting its manufacturing to India. Apple is not just exporting iPhones 14, 15 and 16 from India, but also for the first time, it is also exporting Pro and Pro Max models after it started producing these models locally in October this year. The dollar value of Pro and Pro Max models is nearly 1.5 to 2 times higher than other iPhone models. The jump in exports could be seen from 2019 to 2024. In 2019 financial year, India exported $5.23 million worth of smartphones to US, while in financial year 24, India exported $5.56 billion worth of smartphones to US. In financial year 2022, $1.2 billion of iPhones were exported from India, while in 23, $6.27 billion of iPhones were exported from India. Then in 24 financial year, more than $10 billion worth of iPhones were exported from India. And now financial year 25, the number has reached 70% of financial year 24 within first 7 months. In the last financial year 2024, Apple posted largest ever quarterly shipment in India with 4 million units in third quarter. Apple also exported iPhones worth over $10 billion, which is largest by any company. iPhone makers India operations reached $23.5 billion in value in the last fiscal. And Apple has emerged as second largest player in the online channel. iPhone 15 and iPhone 13 are highest shipped devices. Apple is expected to shift 26% of its global iPhone capacity to India by 2026. Additionally, Apple is increasing its retail footprint by opening 2 stores in Delhi and Mumbai, with plans to open 4 more stores in the near future. Majority of iPhones produced in India across 3 factories, namely Foxconn, Pegatron and Tata Electronics. From India, iPhones are exported to Europe, West Asia and the US. And on the top of that, in the July-September period, Apple clocked an all-time revenue record in India. Smartphones exports to the US saw a meteoric rise, making them the second largest exported product to US after diamonds. Aarti Rana, DD India.
And the 43rd India International Trade Fair is back in the national capital. The fortnight-long global trade fair brings 11 countries and over 3,500 exhibitors to showcase their art and culture. Viksit Bharat at 2047 is the theme for this year's fair. DD India's Anil Thomas has more details. The 43rd India International Trade Fair commenced at Bharat Mandapam, featuring over 3,500 exhibitors from India and abroad. This 14-day event is expected to draw around 100,000 visitors daily, with footfall rising by almost 50% to 150,000 visitors on the weekend. The theme for this year's fair is Developed India at 2047.
This year there are about 10 unique features of the IITF 43rd version 2024. It is designed around the Honorable Prime Minister's theme of Viksit Bharat, India at 2047. So this year, it is the largest ever participation which we have achieved so far. Almost all the states and union territories are participating, and this has happened only this year. Apart from this, the Bharat Mandapam complex is fully made operational and fully utilized for IITF for the first time.
The event will also see participation from 33 states and UTs and 49 central ministries. Bihar and Uttar Pradesh are the partner states, while Jharkhand is the focus state this year. 11 countries are also participating in the fair.
The annual event of prestigious IITF has a great significance to show a diverse range of products, services and technology from India and the world. Jharkhand, the land of natural resources and tribals, is going to be part of the IITF scheduled this year at Pragati Maidan, New Delhi as a focus state. This year, Jharkhand is participating in the IITF to showcase its rich culture and heritage. It gives me immense pleasure to extend my invitation to all the visitors to visit Jharkhand Pavilion.
The business days for IITF 2024 are scheduled from November 14th to 18th. Trade fair will be open for general public from November 19th to 27th. Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi. And in the 115th episode of the monthly radio program, Man Ki Baat, Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted the global resonance of Indian art and culture, emphasizing how people around the world are increasingly drawn to India's heritage and traditions. He put forward the inspiring example of Peru's Herlinda Gonzalez. She is teaching Bharatnatyam to the youth there, and Maria Valdez is imparting training in Odissi dance. Herlinda and Maria express gratitude over their names being recognized on a platform like Man Ki Baat.
Honored, grateful, and so inspired to keep going on with my work here in my country. All the rough times had brought me to the most amazing experiences of my life. And to have been mentioned in a platform like Man Ki Baat.
Honored, reinvigorated, and grateful. In my mind, I see the faces of all my students who are part of the family of Gopeshwara Arts. The past 24 years have not been easy, and both my family and my students as well have had to make many sacrifices. There were many moments I considered giving up. However, hearing my name in a platform such as Man Ki Baat grounds my faith in the presence of Nataraj, pushing me to carry on moving forward.
Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Strong comeback against South Africa by India in the third T20I at Super Sport Park. Centurion takes 2-1 lead in 4-match series.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Now, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has agreed to end his term earlier, calling for a vote of confidence next month and announcing that the election will be held in February 2025, 7 months before the elections were originally scheduled. In first speech since the coalition collapsed, he urged that Germany must not become as divided as the USA is at the moment. And for more on this, what this means for the economy, we have Warda Imran joining us from Berlin. Warda, let's start by talking about the budget and debt issues that caused this collapse. Has there been progress since?
Thanks for having me. Chancellor Scholz addressed the parliament and faced a lot of questions from the conservative majority in the parliament. One point was aid for Ukraine. This has been a pressure point because multiple parties, including the far-right AfD party, have called for a suspension of military aid to Ukraine. This was also an issue when discussing budget and debt because Olaf Scholz, as he said to the parliament, Germany wants to support Kiev, but not at the expense of German prosperity. There's also the issue of passing the 2025 budget, which has been in deadlock for months. Scholz and his minority government is looking for partners in the parliament who can help him pass important legislation, including the budget. The debt brake is still something there is no consensus on. Different parties have different approaches and takes. But Friedrich Merz, the man who many say is slated to be the next Chancellor of Germany, has said that this country needs a fundamentally different policy, especially when it comes to security and the economy.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs, Warda. Time now for some sporting action. And my colleague Deepika is with us for all the sports updates. Good afternoon, Deepika. What do we have in sports?
Good afternoon, Abhishek. We got a lot of action from sports, from tennis, cricket and a lot more. So first, let's talk about cricket. India makes a strong comeback at ongoing T20I, leading the series by 2-1. India not only takes the game in their hand, but also witnesses the emergence of a promising and sensational player, Tilak Varma, who hit his maiden T20I century. Here's more.
In a much-needed comeback victory, India defeated South Africa by 11 runs to lead the ongoing 4-match T20 series by 2-1 at Centurion. In what could be one of the best team performances with an all-round effort, the young legs played crucial role. One such player is Tilak Varma, who notched up his maiden T20I century. The left-hander got to the triple-figure mark in 51 balls. His innings included 8 fours and 7 sixes, helped India reach 219 for a loss of 6 wickets at the end of 20 overs. Praising the all-round performance of the team, BCCI's Honorary Secretary Jai Shah said, "A fantastic comeback by the young brigade as they defeated the Proteas to take a lead in the series. A special mention to the two talented youngsters, Abhi Sharma and Tilak Varma, for such a fantastic display of ball striking, and Arshdeep Singh, who's beautifully leading the pack of bowlers at this young age. Wishing the team the best as they proceed to Johannesburg for the final match of the series." Tilak Varma joined forces with Abhishek Sharma to put together a stupendous 117-run partnership. Abhishek's 25-ball 50 showed plenty of power hitting in the power play itself. With this, the Hyderabad batter became the 12th Indian player to score a T20I century and the 3rd this year, following in the footsteps of Samson and Abhishek. Tilak also became the 2nd youngest Indian to score a T20I 100 after Yashasvi Jaiswal. Confident Team India is all set to take on South Africa in 4th and final T20I at the Wanderers Stadium on Friday, the 14th of November. Sports Desk, DD India.
In tennis at the ATP Finals, Carlos Alcaraz opened his account on Wednesday with an entertaining 6-3, 7-6 victory over Andrei Rublev, boosting his hopes of reaching the semi-finals. World number 3 Alcaraz comfortably defeated Rublev to lift himself off the bottom of the John Newcombe group and looked in much better form despite struggling with fatigue and illness. Spaniard cruised to the first set in 38 minutes, breaking Rublev in Game 7 and quickly winning the next 2 to go 1 set ahead. Alcaraz now will face Zverev on Friday in his final match of the round-robin group stage. Now, Sebastian Coe says protecting female sports is a non-negotiable thing after speaking for the first time since revealing he is set to run for election as the president of the International Olympic Committee. Take a look.
Clarity of policy is absolutely vital. The international federations must have primacy over decisions that relate directly to their sport, the codification, where the events take place. But I think there should be a role for the Olympic movement in the thought leadership in sport and having clear-cut policies in that space particularly.
In soccer, France will host Israel in the UEFA Nations League 2024-25 Group A2 match at Stade de France in Paris tonight. However, security still remains a concern as Paris authorities ramp up security ahead of the clash. Here's more.
Paris police officials have ramped up security ahead of the Nations League match between Israel and France. Ahead of the match, protesters took to the streets in Paris on Wednesday, decrying the upcoming soccer match. Some 4,000 police officials will secure the event, which will also be attended by French President Emmanuel Macron. The authorities have increased security following violent clashes between locals and Israeli soccer fans in Amsterdam last week. Israel coach Ran Ben Shimon said that he hoped supporters would still turn out to watch their match against France despite the security concerns.
I want to prepare my national team to the best possible way of playing against a very strong national team of France, the best we can. I hope as much as we can, and I hope also so that people from the Israeli community around here will come to see our national game.
France's football coach Didier Deschamps said his team was not immune to the heavy context of its upcoming match with Israel following violent clashes last week.
We have made sure to prepare for this match as normally as possible. But obviously, in the entire French team, no one can be immune to the context, which is heavy. I don't talk to the players about it. Obviously, this has consequences when it comes to the number of supporters present tomorrow and everything that goes with it. We will make sure that it remains a football match despite everything.
Kylian Mbappe will not feature in the Nations League fixtures after Real Madrid star was not included in the 23-man squad announced by Didier Deschamps. France is second in the Nations League Group A2 with 9 points from 4 games, while Israel will look to better their position in the standings as they are currently at the bottom of the table without a point. Sports Desk, DD India.
So those were the top highlights of the hour from the world of sports. Back to you, Abhishek.
Thank you for the updates, Deepika. And November 14 marks the World Diabetes Day. Diabetes affects 1 in 11 people globally, with numbers likely to rise, our report.
Diabetes, a silent but deadly disease that affects millions around the world. It is a condition in which the pancreas in body does not produce insulin. Insulin is a hormone that helps body cells absorb glucose and keeps the amount of sugar in blood under control. When someone has diabetes, the production of insulin in the body is reduced or stopped. Diabetes risk factors: family history of diabetes, obesity, lack of physical activity, not exercising, high blood pressure, high levels of cholesterol and triglycerides, smoking, gestational diabetes. With no noticeable symptoms in early stages, it gradually progresses, causing damage to various body parts and leading to a host of complications. Regular checkups are crucial for individuals with diabetes to monitor their condition and prevent further complications. By adopting a healthy lifestyle, the risk of diabetes can be reduced. Increase awareness about diabetes in your home and family and take steps to prevent diabetes. Bureau Report, DD India.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.